Welcome. Welcome. How is everybody doing? We got four people already up in here. That is a good turnout for today. Can I get a mic check and make sure everything is set up correctly? We will be getting going shortly, very, very soon. Stop screen. As soon as I make that video go away. There it is. Move from stage. Hey, it's me. All right, Hands On Mechanical is already asking questions. Says, "Hey Baha, why does my AC compressor sound like a pinwheel when I started up my 2017 Forester belt? Maybe it's got 83,000 miles on it. Most likely, it sounds like a low freon and low compressor oil. So I would not recommend using the can of death from the Wally World to recharge your system. I would strongly recommend you put an AC service machine on there, suck it all out, put a at least a 30-minute vacuum on it. When I do my AC system recharges, and this is part of a special service that I do that's unique to me, is I call it AC tune up. And with an AC tune up, I will evacuate the entire system and then I will put a 1 hour vacuum on it. That 1 hour vacuum will burn off almost every bit of moisture in the system. And then I will let it chill for about 10 minutes, make sure that it holds a good vacuum. And then I will recharge the system with about 30 milliliters of PAG oil in there. Now, while you have the system evacuated, I would strongly suggest that you should take advantage of the situation and replace your AC compressor O-rings, as the AC compressor O-rings on all these FAFB engines here in I'll just say overall, they're just known for uh, going to crap. They lose their rounded seal, they get squared up, and that's where they leak the most. But with O-rings being about $2 a piece, just take advantage of the situation, do the compressor, do the condenser, and do the expansion valve. Hardly ever see the O-rings on the evaporator core ever leak. I've only done it once in 10 years. Did I have them leak? So you're looking at maybe 10, $15 in O-rings. Um, you're gonna want to go to, let me go ahead and just throw the link up here, create a banner. Go to parts. Spelled it wrong. Edit. Here we go. Save. Go to parts.subaru.com. That's where you want to go. Put in your VIN number, and then you can get all the specific O-rings. They'll be shipped to you, or you can schedule them to be picked up at your local dealership if you have one close by. Be aware that when you um, buy things from a dealership, there's more than likely going to be about a 20% markup. So you can save a lot of money just going to parts.subaru.com. Please make sure that you put in the VIN. Do not go by your make and model, because that trim level does make a huge difference on a lot of these parts. I like to tell people to stay away from using those one size fits most little green Harbor Freight O-rings, as I have measured out our OEM O-rings, and they are like a blonde one off from the generic sizes. And when you put the generic size in, they're usually like two blonde hairs over, and they'll actually rip and tear, and you'll just have a forever AC leak. I get a During the summer months, I will get a atrocious amount of jobs coming in from other garages that are just using one size fits most O-rings. and the systems are leaking because they just don't sit right into the fitting. So that's just a little pro tip out there. I know it sucks, and you think we should all be using some sort of universal size, but unfortunately, in the universe of automotive parts, when it comes to gaskets and seals and O-rings, that's not really the case. Uh, they just like making one-off O-rings. There are a couple of vendors out there like Fastenal and Windsor who try to get O-rings that are really, 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 really close. But going through all the trouble to go through them, just go to parts.subaru.com. You'll never have a problem there. Let's go through chat and see what's going on right now. Drop that banner off. See what's going on here in chat because we already got conversations going on. Got Garage Monkey Mechanics. Yep, all. Yes. Good to see you here today, sir. Just replaced an O-ring on the high side of the compressor at work. Looks like I need to redo it again and add some oil. Yeah, when the Forester compress when just pretty much when those compressors start making that nail in a coffee can sound, uh, it's not really. I don't want to say it's a ticking time bomb, but just load it up with oil until it shuts up. That's and I really wish that service centers would start pushing 2-year maintenance plans on these AC systems because as the temperatures outside keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and these engine bays are getting hotter and hotter and hotter, these O-rings they just can't survive. So the type of compressor that's in yours is clutch driven, and it's super susceptible to heat. That is the unfortunate thing. So charge it up, dump some oil in there, and get it rocking and rolling. Hey, how we doing, Felicia? I have your tools in my hand. They sent them to me and they didn't send them to you. Feel very bad about that. So I have you and I have another winner from last week. Same problem. I feel that I don't know why they sent them to me, but they were supposed to go directly to you. So I got to resend all that stuff out tonight. All right. So she says, I think that O-rings in general, I had replaced the blanking plug on my 4R70W because it was cheaper to replace that than the O-rings. And that is the case sometimes. You'd be surprised. It's just with labor and parts, just replacing an assembly always works. Learning with Juan. Hey, how you doing, sir? Good to see you too. Oh, and you got a Milwaukee. I like that. Yep. Universal O-rings. Sometimes it's not always a one size fits most, especially when it comes to Asian and European imports. A lot of times those one size fits most O-ring kits, they're only structured around domestic brands like Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, and GM. Now, if we're talking about really old systems like the R12 days, I don't think you're really going to have a problem there. That was a thicker type of gas and a thicker type of oil. But these newer systems, 134A and especially the 1234YF, you don't want to mess around with those systems, especially the 1234YF. That stuff being about 150, $200 a pound now. Yeah, just do it right or pay it twice, I say. You kind of can't because of so many different manufacturers. Yeah, you're right. Still talking about those O-rings there. Using HG O-ring to rebuild a jack. Who the heck does that? Oh, we're talking about rebuilding jacks now? Yeah, we had two ones in the system. I got the right one. You corrected me in that one stream. Thank you for being honest there. Yeah, it's just unfortunately they sent those tools to me, and I don't know why I filled out the addresses correctly. Yeah, 1234YF is expensive. That's right, folks. So if you have a vehicle with an AC system that says 1234YF on it, and you can find those service stickers for your AC system generally underneath the hood of your engine. You're going to have two stickers underneath the hood of your engine. One is for emissions, the other one is for AC. They'll spell it out for you because they'll be labeled right at the top. One says emission, one says AC. Unless you've been in an accident and they've replaced your hood, you'll never get those stickers back. But that is a really quick way to identify what your system has and how much freon your system holds. And because our AC systems, they are bolted together, the pipes, they're bolted together and they use O-rings to seal up the gaps. You will just get natural leaks. That's what we call it. We call it a natural leak. You can get anywhere from 1 to 10% of your full charge lost every year just by the O-rings. Um, it's been like that for decades. The only way around it is to braze everything together. Okay. That's why your appliances, your refrigerator, for example, doesn't have AC leaks and you don't have to get the system recharged for the life of it, is because those copper lines, they braze them shut. So we built ours a different way because it makes assembly easier. And I think that they just don't want technicians using an acetylene torch around an engine bay, such as life. I read yesterday that the EPA has announced a new residential refrigerant. I hope it doesn't get even more convoluted in the automotive space. No, 1234YF is pretty much going to be the new refrigerant for the next few decades. It took a long time for them to perfect that and develop it and get it through the EPA. Uh, Uso, Sergio, he is our HVAC expert, and he can tell us all about new refrigerants being introduced into the residential area. He is my HVAC expert. I think, Sergio, did you go to John Wayne University or did you go through a journeymanship? I don't know what they're going to go for residential, but I know I do have a service technician come to my house every year and recharge my system because it bleeds off about 10% and it keeps everything healthy. And I think I only pay about $200. So he's a good chap. And that's not side work. That's just legit through his business. Yeah. Sergio says 1234IF is not in residential. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get going along here. Oh, wait. All right. There's a couple of different manufacturers are going with. All right. So here we are. Today's lesson, I have developed it, is how to use STIS. That is the Subaru shop manuals. It is a web-based interactive service manual that you can use. Back in the 80s and the 90s, we were actually using hard books to reference service data. Uh, midway towards the 90s, maybe the late 90s, they introduced CDs that you could purchase separately from your books. So you would reference all your materials through a CD. And then early 2000, that's when they went web based. And the web based was pretty much just still accessing it wasn't accessing a local CD. You were actually accessing the 6,000 page PDF, but it was through a website, uh, it was a PDF with a GUI on it, graphic user interface. That's what I'm trying to say. I got all this laid out here, so we're gonna jump right into it. Let me add this up to the stage and maximize that. There we go. Got to keep my face up here in the corner, otherwise my mic's gonna drop out. I got to learn how to use OBS so I can get around that stuff, guys. Tilt my camera down a little bit so you can look at that mug of me. Hell yeah. All right, so we are going to be doing another tool giveaway in 1 hour. So we'll set the timer at 9:15, and we'll raffle off some more tools. We'll see how it goes. And remember, folks, to be entered into the tool raffle, you need to be a member of the channel. You need to be here in the chat at 9:15. So if you're gonna walk away, set a timer on your watch to be back here a little bit early and check in. We'll load up all the names to the pinwheel. If you don't know how to become a member of the channel, all you got to do is click on if you're looking at YouTube, just go click on my icon, go to my YouTube page and click join, or there should be a join button right there on the view screen. I'm only asking for $1 a month, and that is your $1 to get entered into a contest to win tools weekly. I will ship them directly to you. And the more members we get, the higher value of tools we can get. I do want to work our way up to some jump boxes. Okay, I got jump boxes that are being sent to me to raffle off, but I want to get at least 100 members going before we do that because that is a $300 jump box. And when we get into 250 members, I got top tier level scan tools that are valued at about $700. I want to raffle those off too. So we got to work our way up. If you know people personally that watch the channel and they're not a member, encourage them to be a member of the channel. So with that said, we're going to move along and I will stop about every 20, 30 minutes to see how chat is going. It's 9:15. Okay, 9:15 Central Standard Time there, smart guy. Yes, CST, Central Standard Time, sir. It is currently 8:17 right now in my neck of the woods. All right, so our outline here is we're going to go over a free access version of STIS. Then we're going to hit into the paid subscription that you can get, how to get a subscription. We'll get into the two different versions of this interactive catalog. That's right, we got two versions. One is it looks brutal to get through. It looks old, but once you go through this crash course, it'll make complete sense. Most likely, we're going to stop at about version 2. We'll do a separate tour of version 2 next Saturday, and then we'll go over how to use the SSM3 and SSM4, which is the Subaru diagnostic tool. So if you're a technician out there and your shop has bought you a Subaru tool, this will be a really, really good course for you. If you are a Subaru technician, you're new in the garage and they haven't sent you to Subaru school, you're going to want this training because that's going to put you ahead of your peers and that'll put you on a fast track to get enrolled into Subaru school. So just dropping a hint there because I know I got a few Subaru techs that are subscribers. All right. So the website you're going to want to go to is techinfo.subaru.com. And here is our subscription that you can get. You can get a 3-day pass for $35, a 30-day pass for uh, $299.95. That's a good Walmart price. And you can get a whole year for $2,500. Yikes. So when you're going into this, I will say as a note, make sure you have both internet browsers installed on your computer. The internet browsers I'm talking about is Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome. Other browsers like Firefox, it's not really compatible with. It has something to do with the coding. I'm not a computer guy. So that's all I can say from there. When you do click the purchase, the clock starts ticking. So if you're buying a 3-day pass, and it's midnight on a Friday, that's when the ticker starts. Okay. Of course, you guys will most likely be using the individual subscription. If you are a main service center, if you're a main service center, then you can get a company subscription, which will give you some more logins. So if I read the contract correctly, you if you purchase a 1 year under a company account, it should be called an enterprise, but you can create multiple logins for multiple technicians in your garage, which is pretty nice. And I'll explain to you the advantages of having that. All right, so our main page here, we're going to be talking about the free access information you can get, and this is all really, really cool information. So we're going to focus up right here. We're going to go right into the information tab, and you get a drop down box. You get what's new, special tool information, and a mobilizer key access. All right, so selecting the what's new option from the information tab, that's going to go ahead and that's going to reveal TSBs, bulletins, campaigns. And remember, this is all free stuff right now. So you can see what's getting published. What you need to remember, though, is it's only going to show you what's been published for the last 90 days. And you, a lot of this information you will not be able to view. You will be very limited on what you can view. So these TSBs, campaigns, tech tips, you won't be able to view those on the free side, but you will be able to view some other cool stuff like owner's manuals and accessory installs. All right. If you see a service campaign on the screen and you want to know more information about it, you can go to NHTSA, that is National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and you can read about the campaign there. Keep in mind though that the campaign that they display, it is not going to have repair information. It's only going to give you a summary of what's going on. It'll say something like Subaru has identified a percentage of X, Y, and Z. We've earmarked specific vehicles with this VIN range, and that's about it. So, all the repair stuff, you're going to have to get a subscription in order to see what's going on. Let's go into special tool information. This is where we can get more information about buying a select monitor, getting a Denso interface, getting programming files on CD. So if you are running a mobile diag business and you have a J box, which is an interface box to go to the OBD2 port, and you want to do updates for all the computers, you can purchase a programming CD from them. And from there, you will have to maintain that CD. All the instructions on how to get a programming set up are right here with the links. It's very, very easy. All the prices are right there. Very, very easy. Buying a Subaru tool like a laptop and an interface module, Subaru sells it to you on a lease agreement. If you want to buy the tool outright, there are other vendors, but if you have problems with that tool, you're going to have to pay a refurb fee. So there's a catch both way. All right, so we can get into the key access information right now. Getting into if you are not a programmer right now, but you're thinking about becoming a programmer, you're going to want to get a jump start on all your prerequisites, and that is going to NASTF to go set up an account. Okay. That is National Automotive Service Task Force. You have to be vetted. Okay, they're going to do a background check, and they're going to give you a login, and they're going to give you credentials, so that way the automotive manufacturer knows that you're not an automotive thief. I guess that's what they're trying to do is because you can get some software in here that will give you workarounds to do some sketchy stuff. So think of it like buying a gun, and there is a cooldown. All right. So you can't just get this access right away. You're it's going to take anywhere from 3 days to a week. And I've heard some people take a month and then they have to call back in. Why? I don't know. It's different for every person. But the longest that I've heard is 30 days. The shortest I've heard is 3 days. I guess it's like the DMV, just plan ahead. Let's jump into what's going on with online reference. So, online reference, this is a pretty cool information you can access to, and this is where our main learning starts. And we're still on the free side here, folks. That's going to get you access to see your accessory install guides and your owner's manual. So if you own a vehicle, it's you own a Subaru, and you have a hard time trying to find information in your owner's manual, well, now you can get a PDF version and you can start finding things a lot faster. If you want to buy your own accessories for your vehicle and you want to know how to put them on, this is where you're going to come and you're going to find the accessory install guide. When you buy those Subaru accessories, they don't come with the instructions in the box. They're not IKEA furniture. Uh, they expect you to go to the dealership and get your accessories. So if you want to empower yourself and put your own accessories on, there you go. That's the information that you're going to need. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to check those two boxes. And from here, you're going to want to enter in your VIN, or you can come up here and you can ham jam in your vehicle make and model. Click on the search button and you'll get a populated page. So we're seeing all the accessories right there. We're not seeing the owner's manuals right away because the owner's manual is being buried by the accessory installation guides. So you'll have to come over here to these different page markers and find what you're looking for. For the accessories, the document code is the part number. So if you buy a particular accessory, let's say a trailer hitch, just put the number of the part up here and it'll start auto populating what you need right there. It'll happen right on the fly that you don't have to hit the return key at all. Then you can hit the blue down button right there, and that is the download. It'll download it straight to your computer as a PDF file, and it is yours to keep. There is no licensing for it. Notice that also, if you hover your mouse around the download button, you will get this dialog box that pops up, and it'll give you a quick little bit of information that you can read about uh, the applicability to what it goes to the vehicle and a little summary of what's going on. All right, so I filtered down the results to owner's manuals. There it is, 2024 Outback Owner Manual. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to click on the down button. We're going to download it. Let's open it up. Oh, let's talk about the other things too. So this is really good in case you buy a used car. Your owners, sometimes you buy a used car from wherever, Facebook, Craigslist, offer up, five and dime shops, buy here, pay here. uh, the documents for your vehicle may not be in the glove box where they belong. So here you can find all the missing supporting information. So you get your Starlink owner's manual, you get a quick start guide, you get a quick start guide for how to use EyeSight. EyeSight is our ADAS system, that's our assisted driver system with the stereo cameras. So there's some really cool features with EyeSight that make driving experiences better. And it has instructions on how to turn some of the beeps and boops off of it so you don't have to hear that thing beep at you every time you take your eyes off the road. So we're opening up our owner's manual right now. And let's go ahead and take this from a perspective of a service technician. Okay. Service technician has a car that comes in the garage and the customer says, "Hey, my remote start doesn't work." Take a drink of water. So the first thing that we think about when we have a remote start problem is we're like, well, it's probably the battery in it. So you put a new coin cell in there, it still doesn't work. You don't know what's going on. You could waste a lot of time trying to look through Motologic, ShopKey, other third party service information, all data, and you're not going to find owner's manual information in there. And maybe the customer doesn't have their owner manual in the car because they took it out. They want to put box of Kleenex in their glove box instead. You know, they didn't think they need to drive around with an owner's manual. I don't think most people even open up their owner's manual. So you come over here to our free version of Subaru and you can get the PDF and you can read about how to use remote start. Okay. Because when it comes to diagnosing customer concerns, you always have to keep in mind that maybe the person doesn't know how to use that feature on the vehicle. It happens a lot. Um, customers, customers, I should say, vehicle operators, when they jump around from manufacturer to manufacturer, they assume that a lot of the features work the same, and that's not always the case. So, with the Subaru remote start system, we actually have two different types of key fobs. Okay. You got a key fob that is a standalone remote start right here, and that's issued out for people with a key turn ignition switch. And then we have another remote start system that is for push button starts. And it does happen where the wrong system gets installed because somebody wanted to save some money and they paid somebody to do it on the side, and that person bought their own remote starter, maybe off of eBay, trying to save some coin. So when you're buying these accessories for your vehicle, always buy from a trusted vendor, and your trusted vendor will be from parts.subaru.com or your local dealership. And I've had many of people who actually install their own remote start systems, and then they just come over to the dealership and they say, "Can you program it?" And we charge them like $100 programming fee. I don't, we don't mind. I empower people to do their own work. It's a free country. So here we are. We're in chapter 7. We're going to read about the remote start system. Keep in mind that these PDFs right here, they are somewhat interactive, so you could click on chapter 7, but if you didn't know where to find remote starting at, and if it didn't clue in that you should go to starting and operating, you could just hit Control F and you could type in FOB, FOB, and you could start skimming through really, really quick. So with this particular type of remote start, it actually says to start the engine with the remote engine start system, briefly press the lock button twice within 2 seconds. Okay. This is the push button start key fob. Says you got to press the lock button twice, then press and hold it for 3 seconds. Over here, this one, you just press it twice fast and your car will go beep beep. There is a third option to remote start the Subaru systems, but it does require a Starlink subscription, and now you can do it from a phone app. A lot of the a lot of the newer Subarus, they're giving out a 1-year subscription of Starlink already, and then the customers get their remote start and they're like, "Hell yeah, I can do it from my cell phone." Then the 1-year sub runs out. They think that the emails they're getting from Subaru is junk mail, they delete them, and then they come into the shop and they say, "Hey, my remote start doesn't work." And a lot of technicians, they start looking around, they're like, "Well, maybe your remote starter module is bad." Well, in order to do the remote start from this key fob, you need a module. But if you want to do remote start from your phone, it just piggybacks off of the telematics, which is Starlink, and there is no module. So all these customers that have been buying cars for the last 3, 4 years, they're remote starting through their cell phones. They love it. Then their subscription runs out and now it's at another shop. They're not at a dealership and they don't know these things. So there's your GWiz information about Subaru remote starts. And the owner's manual, it also does have operational indicator lights to tell you that the key fob and the remote start app is working on the vehicle. It'll tell you, the what lights are going to flash on the key fob, how the vehicle is going to respond, so on and so forth. Really good information, and you can access it all free instantly and explain it to the customer. And unfortunately, customer, you're probably going to pay somebody anywhere between 75 and $150 diagnostic fee to read your owner's manual. So if you're a vehicle operator, I just helped you out. All right, so now we're going to get into the full access portion here. This is where we're going to dive deep and get up to our knees and good information here. So, to reiterate, you do need a subscription in order to access this information. Unless you're a dealer technician, then you already have your dealer login. This will all be the same thing. If you buy a individual STIS subscription, you are getting identical information to your dealer service technician. Okay. They don't get anything else. Uh, there's no difference in this website. There's no difference in the service information. You guys, both parties are getting identical information. So you've logged in, and here's your main page. And this is a screenshot of my main page of what's going on. And you'll notice that the main page is busted up into four very good quadrants right there. You get what's new, quick reference search, recently viewed, and saved reference links. Okay. That's my favorite one right there. We're going to talk about each one individually. So, right now, let's go into what's new. So, on the what's new, this is just like the previous screen where it's going to be showing you the last posts or all the posts in the last 90 days. And as you can see right here, we have bulletins coming out for a data control module. You'll see that the text kind of gets cut off. That's why you got to come over here to the download button, hover your mouse to get that pop-up dialog box. Okay, over here, you can increase your results by clicking on that drop-down box. You can increase it 10, 25, 50, or 100. So you can skim everything. That's our download icon. And that star right there, that star is how you save things to your favorites, which is very, very valuable. So for me, I like to always keep good TSBs that always help me out with really common problems because I have to reference them for procedures or maybe serial numbers or maybe special codes to do reprogramming. And that's where I'll put them. Notice how this document code, this is a TSB, it's got an R at the end. That means revised. Okay. So this is an older TSB that was issued out over a year ago, but when they make a revision, it repopulates into the what's new. So if you are trying to stay up to date on what's going on with Subarus as a Subaru technician at a dealership, open this up, check it out, because they're going to highlight everything in yellow, what they added in. And what they're adding in can be anything from expanding the bulletin to more vehicles. Maybe they changed some verbiage because it was confusing. The people who write these are Japanese and then they translate it to English. And sometimes the translation doesn't cross over. Maybe the procedure that they wrote wasn't straightforward enough and too many people were asking for help on interpreting what it was, so they'll rewrite it. Or maybe they just want to change the labor time on it, because at the end of every TSB there's a labor time for the repair, and sometimes they underpay the technician for the repair, and then us technicians, we send in claim forms saying like, hey, like this took an extra 30 minutes to get it done. Here's why. Your bulletin didn't take these things into consideration. Or maybe we tell them, you gave us a bulletin for repair, but it requires removing some parts, and because the mileage on this TSB is so big, we got to put new parts on, and the shop can't pay for it. The customer can't pay it. You should pay for it. So they'll change out the parts bill out, and they might add notations saying that the dealership can claim nuts and bolts or hoses if they become damaged during removal due to wear and tear of the vehicle. Because some of these bulletins, they can increase the not the I don't want to say the warranty, but they'll give it an extended warranty on a particular part. All right. A great example is they just did a TSB that came out just this last week, and it was for the electronic thermal valve body. So we're familiar with the old school thermostats that open and close with heat. It's just a mechanical spring. Now they switched over to these really expensive ones that are controlled by a computer, and they have an actual valve body that opens and closes cooling ports to different parts of the engine, the heater core, the transmission, so that way that the engine can get a rapid cool up. Unfortunately, we have a high rate of failure on those. Can't talk about why, but that part wasn't covered under powertrain, and that part was only covered under new car warranty. New car warranty is 3 years, 36,000 miles. Powertrain is 5 years, 60,000 miles. And in some areas, like my region of Texas, you can put 20 to 25,000 miles on a car just going to and from work every day. It's a big city. Uh, I know I drive an average of 50 miles a day just going to and from work. So you can rack up some miles on your car. And people were driving out of their new car warranty really, really, really fast. So now we have a warranty extension. Okay, again, just showing you, you can get a highlight of what's going on by hovering your mouse over the download button. Okay, that dialog box, there's your document title, affected vehicles. There's your summary of the document of what's going on. And most importantly, right down here, supporting documents. Now, when you open up the document, it's not going to tell you these are supporting documents. You only find out these are supporting documents in the blurb. So make sure you check that out when you're reading bulletins. That can give you some more tips and tricks when you're trying to solve a problem. Because I want to reiterate, TSBs, text service bulletins, they're not part numbers. Okay. We use them as tools of discovery. Okay. You have a hypothesis and you want to prove it, the TSB helps you prove your hypothesis. But if you can't get a conclusion, right? If you can't get solid evidence and that you're like, this TSB was worthless, come back here and look at your supporting documents and check in on those. There might be some good information. All right, so we're going to jump back to the main page right now and we're going to check out quick reference search. And before we go into that, let's catch up on chat. And yeah, we're okay because I am actually using a individual login right now. So we are not having copyright infringements. I checked in on this. This is purely for training and reference use only, and we are not showing. I will not be opening up documents. So this is reference use only. Okay, what he's referring to is on every one of our recalls and every one of our TSBs, there's a disclaimer that says, do not duplicate this. All right. Because this is controlled information. So I am teaching you how to get access to it with a paid subscription, and that is legal. But I will not be displaying anything that you cannot get for free. So in the beginning, I showed you how to get the free access with the accessory install guide and the owner's manual. That's all free information that you can get on the interweb by yourself. And if you want access to TSBs, recalls, programming files, and service data, it's paid. And I'm going to show you how to get there, but I will not be showing classified information. So, but thank you for being cautious. All right, so we're in the quick reference area here. We'll zoom in on that. You can choose your publication type, and there's your list of information that you can choose from. You can select TSB, enter in the VIN. You can pick the last date or the full 17. Why is there a difference? Well, it's because the last 8 has all the option numbers on your vehicle. The first 8 is just like a serial number. That's why. So we're gonna put in a VIN here, and we're gonna put in battery. All right. So let's pretend we're a service technician, and the customer's saying that he's had to have a battery replaced 2 times in 90 days. What do we do? All right. So when we're in our quick search area, we're going to see if there's any TSBs for this VIN number under battery. Go ahead and click search. And here's all the results that are out there. Okay. We have test procedures. We have visual inspections that you can do. We have procedures that you can do for parasitic draws, using your scan tool to look for specific codes, optional programming files if they're applicable. That's right. Sometimes on our late model vehicles now, not to make this a teaching class, but just to inform you, back in the day, all the alternator did was just run full pop amps and charge the battery. Okay. There wasn't a lot going on with the vehicle, maybe three or four computers. Now we have, I think now a Subaru can have like 26 computers in it. And let's not even talk about Mercedes, which can have like 60, 70 computers into it. All right. And by putting a smart charging system uh, program into the vehicle for the alternator, we're actually reducing the load on the engine, which increases your miles per gallon. That's really good. And this smart charging logic program runs in a three-step progress. It does low, medium, and high. And this programming file can change when it switches between those different algorithms. Maybe it's not running on high charge mode long enough in order to do a rapid charge on the battery, so on and so forth. Maybe it's staying in the low tier realm too long and it's not putting a proper charge on the battery. That's what the reprogramming file would do. So uh, don't go looking on the internet and you know reading all these blogs and posts and people just saying, "Oh, well, if it's been two batteries, then it's an alternator." No, it's not. Uh, many of our many of our problems nowadays are fixed with computer updates, doing file updates and patches. Think about your personal computer and think about your iPhone. Okay, how many times does that thing update within a year? I know. I think I've done at least three updates on my iPhone just in the last year. So they all make these little tweaks. All right, so you can filter down the results even more, plug battery in, and we have three topics here. Now, that filter is only going to be looking at the information that was written in this little populated box right here. Keep that in mind, okay? And also keep in mind that you need to have, how would I say, a suggested vocabulary on backup when you're looking for things. Um, every manufacturer has small idioms with words that they like to use. All right. And it gets worse when you're dealing with a different culture and a different language. Subaru is Japanese. So Japanese may not have the proper American translations, hence dark current. But here in America, we've learned to classify it as parasitic drawl. And that verbiage is not always updated in the titles together. So you might have to do a separate search for dark current and parasitic drawl just to see if the right thing populates. Keep that information in mind. Another idiom that we have with my manufacturer is we're just used to calling everything like a valve cover, valve cover, valve cover. Well, they call it a rocker cover. And a few months ago, some of us got in a big old heated comment war about what a drive shaft should be called. I mean, a lot of people called it a propeller shaft. Then people were saying it's a rear drive shaft, a front drive shaft, a prop shaft. It's like words were coming out of the world. And you know what? It all depends on what the manufacturer decided to call it. That's it. I'm like, but I know if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I think there's something wrong with my drive shaft," I know what they're talking about. I'm not going to sit there and be like, "It's called a prop shaft or a propeller shaft." I don't care. Right here, I'm just showing you how some of these quick verbiage boxes they can run off your screen and you can't scroll through them. That's just a glitch on the website. And sometimes these dialog boxes don't populate because you might have some browser settings turned off. Keep that in mind. Or maybe you're using Firefox. I know Firefox doesn't run this website very well. All right, so here's I got ahead of myself. So dark current parasitic drawl right there. But if you type in dark current, we get another result that wasn't on our last list. Okay. And there was a big verbiage right there. And that's actually a procedure. And I cut all this information off because it's classified. But basically, this is the same stuff that our national highway traffic is talking about. But basically, it's a test procedure to determine if the data control module is keeping the network awake. And that can be fixed with a software update. You don't have to replace the module. All right. So if you know well, okay, let me reset my brain. All right. So this last part of the quick reference search box is looking for a specific document. Now, don't treat this like a Google search. You can't just it's not going to autocorrect you and it's not going to give you suggestions on what it thinks you were looking for. It doesn't have an AI behind it. It's just going to be a yes or no system. So if you type it in wrong, then it's going to show no results. Make sure you typed it in correctly. Make sure you use all caps. Make sure the spaces are in the right place. I mean, anything from like a space being right here, and then you typed in like 123 24. So be very specific with what you type in there. This is pretty simple, recently viewed. So if you're working on a car, you reference something, you park the car, and then they say, okay, work approved, go work on it. And you're like, ah, man, what bulletin was I looking at? Well, right here, recently reviewed. Now you'll notice that the recently reviewed does not have a show more button. It's only going to show you the last 5 things, and then it's going to start overriding itself. Thinking as a DIYer who owns specific recent model Subaru, is it possible to download a service manual with a 72-hour pay? Yes, it is. We'll get to that. All right, so recently reviewed. That was it. Any notes in there? Yeah, you can only see the last 5 stuff. All right, save reference links. It's my favorite thing. So we got a new icon right there. That's an X. You can delete it out of your favorites. So maybe you're not referencing that TSB anymore, or that recall, or that whatever that product you choose you to save. Maybe you accidentally added something. So that's how you would manage it. You cannot restructure the listing. Okay. So you can't add one to the top. If you did want to put something back at the top so you could see it on the main page, you're going to have to delete it and re-add it, and then it'll go to the top. So do kind of wish that there was a button so you could restructure it and you could have a top 5 favorites. That would be really cool. I've made that suggestion before, but I'm not a website designer. And of course, they got to pay somebody to do that, right? All right, you click on show more and you get more. I think my animation's broke on that screen. I'll have to fix that. All right. Oh, I see what I'm doing. Yep. Yep. Okay, that's it. You click on show more, you get to see your stuff. I have no more to talk about that. That's kicking a dead horse. Animations are broken. We're going to go into show it. There we go. We're going to go right up here. We're going to click on the service diagnostic tab, and it's going to take us to this familiar screen. This looks just like the free information screen. Okay. But now we're going to have access to all the publication types. So it says calling it a propeller shaft makes it a bit of sense as it is a shaft that propels you. Yep, exactly. Man, I had some people saying that was like only for boats. I'm like, bro, don't think about it like that. You're not an engineer. Engineers have ways with words, ways with words. I mean, they're the ones that put the wiper blades under the electrical category on the parts manual. They put it there for a reason because they think that engineers think a completely different way than technicians. They think a completely different way than regular people. When you go to engineering school, it reprograms your brain. You see the world in a whole different light. All right, so publication types. This box can be scrolled through. We're only going to be talking about four really cool ones that I like because the rest of them is hit and miss stuff. And if you get a paid subscription, you can play around in it and you can figure it out. But those other categories don't get updated as much. They're just some older categories that are there just to file information away from the 90s and the early 2000s. All right, so my top categories are OBD2 Diag 2. Okay, this is your mode 6 quick reference guide. Now, note it only stayed an update from 1999 to 2010. After 2010, they started rolling it into the actual service manual. So if you're working on a car between 1999 and 2010, this had its own manual. If you were trying to find Mode 6 information, tech reference booklets. Yeah, you can get the schoolhouse book. You buy a paid subscription, you can read through the schoolhouse books, and those schoolhouse books they have a plethora of good information. Uh, Keep in mind that when you're reading manufacturer service information, that service information was written around a student who is part of that manufacturer school. So, Subaru, for example, I'm reading a Subaru manual and it starts talking about engine repair procedures. I know from my schoolhouse training the information that's missing between the gaps. They're not going to rewrite. They're not going to what do they call it? Rebuild the wheel. So if you are working in an aftermarket shop, or if you are an individual who buys a paid subscription and you go, man, this engine repair instruction doesn't make sense. Well, you might have to go look at the tech reference booklet for that specific engine. And then you go, oh, I understand now. Like they're just trying to keep everything simplified and categorized. And once you learn that, it'll make sense. Okay, you'll get access to the Tech Tips monthly newsletter. So if you're a shop that does a lot with Subarus, stay in touch with the Tech Tips. Okay. They have information in there that does not generate a TSB. Remember, TSBs are generated by the manufacturer. Tech Tips, these are newsletters that are written by the technician hotline. The dealerships have a 1-800 number that the technicians can call if they're stumped. Okay, the car comes in, they can't find anything in the repair manual, they can't find anything in a TSB, they've exhausted their local resources, so now they can call the hotline and they can they can start bouncing some diagnostic information off of somebody. The people that we talk to, they're not engineers, but they do uh, have communication lines with engineering teams. So they're there to filter out all the information from the technician and make sure that the technician ran all his diagnostic steps correctly. And if a engineering team needs to get involved, then you can build a case, submit up all your information, your files, maybe a video and a picture, and they'll get back to you in like a day or two. And that's really good information too if you're a service technician at a dealership because that is what helps drives TSBs. Us calling in and getting stumped helps out. Also, in these tech tip newsletters, they use this to sometimes retrain us because they'll say, "Hey, you guys been calling in a lot about some of this stuff you should know, so we're going to reiterate some points here." some repair procedures that you guys are overlooking because we're getting some comebacks on your work. It happens. Um, when the manufacturer launches a new feature on a product, sometimes the technician gets left out of the loop, and they'll put that information in that monthly newsletter, and they'll say, "Hey, you guys, hey, we put a new feature on this car. You should get familiar with it. Here's a quick skinny on it." And then service manuals. There you go. Somebody was just asking earlier. Yes, you can get a full PDF service manual. Okay, going into the onboard diagnostic information, we'll do a quick glance on this. Again, this is for only a 10-year period. Even though it has some dates that are outside that 10-year period, that's just basically because maybe they updated the publishing or changed the file format. So when they resubmit it to the website, it changes the date. Uh, Mode 6 information. So basically, this is where I'm just using a P420 code, gives you all the monitor results and the parameters that are looked at when it's setting a P420. So things that you may not take into account. I always yell at other people, not my coworkers, but when I teach how to do a P420 test, I bring this topic up a lot. I say, hey, the P0420, that's not a part number. Okay. The vehicle may not always need a catalytic. So we have to look at these set conditions to make sure that there's no other influences. If you have a engine coolant temp sensor that's not working correctly, um, that can generate a P0420 code. Exhaust leaks can cause a P0420 code. A slow reacting O2 sensor. Well, there's a lot of things. So you can cost a customer a lot of money. Again, they're going in here, they're talking about a sensor, they're giving you sensor parameters, code set criteria, and things that you need to know, like how is the code set? How long does it take for the code to be set? What voltage does it need? And so on and so forth. Keep in mind that they do like to talk in this weird verbiage of milliseconds. So 42,000 milliseconds, that's 42 seconds, guys. Now, studying this old information can give you some insight on how our new information is developed. And you might find some little Easter eggs in there where, as they're making new publications, they leave out some information and you can find some pretty cool stuff. One example was an oil control solenoid, and the customer kept, I think it was an STI that came in. Yeah, it's like a 2012 STI, and he kept throwing a phaser code for one of the exhaust banks. And it was just really eerie. He had already replaced his exhaust phaser, and then he had replaced his engine control module. And I'd only figured it out by talking with a tech line representative who helped me learn some of this old information. He says, "Hey, let's go into the mode 6, but let's use this old 2006 information and let's reference it on here and let's see what the mode 6 value was." Well, come to find out, all he needed was an oil control solenoid for that circuit, and problem was fixed. It was pretty cool learning moment for me, and was really happy to work with that individual. All right, so again, knowledge is power. Read everything, learn everything, and yeah, sometimes I take my work home with me, and I gotta read up. What am I putting out here? I might have written this one high on some coffee. Voltage is the same. Heater circuit. Yeah, okay. So the set condition Yeah, I'm showing two different vehicles here. So we're referencing a 2020 versus an older vehicle, and the the code set criterias, they're just getting much tighter now on newer vehicles. You can also get a Mode 6 spreadsheet. Okay. We're going to talk about your tech reference booklets. Hey, if you are a small shop and you're getting Subarus in and you don't know how to work on these Subaru transmissions, we wrote a whole book just on CVT transmission diagnosis. And there's working examples in there too. This is a really, really good book to read. You will very much enjoy it. And I went through that book in my CVT training course. Sorry that it took so long to get it done. I think it took us, what, 3 weeks, guys? What's our time? Ooh, we're coming up on the prize time. All right. So 5 minute warning, 5 minute warning. All right. So this is a message out to reiterate to myself and reiterate to other technicians out there. Just because you took a training class 10 years ago doesn't mean that the information has changed. These schoolhouse books get updated about every 5 years, and I still go back and I reference them. So I always check for new updates and new publications because there's more tips and tricks that are in there and more GWiz information. So never stop learning. Always go through the examples that they have. You'll find great information in there. And here's one example right there. This is a clip out of the books, and they're giving you a quick little cheat sheet to know what are the inputs to the CVT TCM, what are the outputs, and these are hardwired to the transmission control module. Nothing else touches it. All these other influencers, they're CAN bus. So if you're working on a transmission problem, know the differences between who's talking to what, and that can really narrow down your diagnostics. Uh, Again, going into our schoolhouse book, there we had a 3-page update here in the schoolhouse books, and they're talking about a new battery sensor that was installed, how to monitor it, okay, how to diagnose problems with it, and then also how not to use an impact wrench on it, because a really common problem with this clamp here is people are using their impacts with a 10 mil to tighten this thing down, and they're stripping it out, and then it no longer stays seated. Hand tools only, folks. Oh, that didn't. That should have gone to the top, but it didn't. All right, so we're not seeing the pages that are getting mentioned behind it. That sucks. So I'll fix that in the slide update. What I'm trying to show here in this back graphic is if you open up the engine book for chain driven engines, there is going to be a better explanation on how to remove and install the chains. That's really cool. And they're going to give you a Excel spreadsheet for the pre-measured shims. Okay. These FAFB engines that use chains now for the timing, okay, timing chains, we no longer have the little nut and screw to adjust the valve lash. Now you have to use these pre-measured little shims, okay? And when you find the measurement using the formula that they talk about of what shim you got to use, well, they're giving you the part number to go with it. That's great because when you go to the parts counter and you say, "Hey, I need this shim that is 2.7 millimeters," he's going to go, "I don't know how to find that." That happens sometimes because maybe he's not familiar with how to use his catalog. Now you can just walk up to the counter and say, "I need this part number," and you get your shim. So they got a book for both all the types of engines, the Easy 30, Easy 36, and the FAFBs and the EJs. Great information in there. If you're getting into the hybrids, they're going to have a course that goes over the DC DC converters that are now being integrated into our hybrids. And we're starting to put DC DC converters into our non hybrid vehicles too. So if you're diagnosing a vehicle and all of a sudden your problem is kind of going towards this DC DC converting, you're like, what the hell does this thing do? I don't understand. Why are we converting DC to DC? That doesn't make sense. Well, now you can read about it and you can understand its purpose and you can get some more gee whiz information as to what it's exactly doing and why you need to have a DC DC converter. There'll also be a mobilizer information that's in there, all kinds of great stuff. I love it. So let's catch up on chat and let's go right into spin the wheel. Engineers, engineers were are meant to be served by mechanics. I didn't catch all that. So yeah, engineers and mechanics, we butt heads a lot. Uh, where can I buy that book? Just got one. Oh, okay. Where can you buy the book? Just got on. Got it. Yes. Yeah, let me just jump back here, man. So that way you don't have to watch it from the beginning. Right here. You're going to go to techinfo.subaru.com and you can purchase a 3-day pass for 35 bucks, a 30-day pass for $300 and a 1-year pass for 2500 bucks. And you'll be able to view all the same information that I get. Things always change. Yes, they do. And that is becoming the hardest thing being a technician and being a mechanic is my gosh, these cars are updating so fast. They're updating like cell phones. You once you get used to one problem, a new system comes out and if you're not on the no list, you're screwed. David, my spool gave me the log and for Shopkeep Pro and told me to keep using it even after I graduate next month. I still find Google to be convenient if I'm looking for something specific. If you're using Shopkeep Pro, Shopkeep Pro is a very, very powerful program that's run by Snap-on. Snap-on bought Mitchell. I would recommend that you subscribe to the Snap-on Diagnostic channel, not the Snap-on regular channel, but it's literally called Snap-on Diagnostics. Jason Cabrinas, he's a fantastic diagnostician. He holds a 20-minute class every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and he's always going over exercises on how to use Shopkeep Pro for GWiz information down to troubleshooting. And he keeps it very cut and dry. He doesn't answer questions until the very, very end. So it's not like my channel where it's going to be interactive. I think he's on like 60 episodes right now, and they're all free to watch, and they're very, very good. They're very, very, very good. Do they reference using the Snap-on Zeus a lot? Yes, they do. But if you are a ShopKey subscriber, then yeah, it's going to really help you out with navigation and pinpointing information better, so you don't always have to rely on Google. Google can leave you astray because Google has a little AI bot running behind the scenes that's guessing what you're searching for. So if it doesn't find exactly what you're looking for, it's going to take a guess and it's going to make a suggestion, but you're going to think in your head really quick, oh, that's in the top 10 things. That's got to be it, right? And then you'll start reading it and you go, wait, this is nothing what I'm looking for. Go back to the search results and then you'll find out that some of the information was omitted. You'll see it at the bottom of your search. You'll see a little detailed script that has a gray out of words that they took out from your search request. So they said, well, we didn't find this exact search, but if we take this word out and this word out, we found things for this. So be cautious with that. And then also, if you're looking for bulletins through the Google search, you can get old bulletins with old information and you won't get the new updated information. So trust your service data, learn how to use it, and again, watch Jason's channel. Very welcome, sir. Saying hello. Yes, very, very good content. He does a lot more with networking and programming than I do, and I learn a lot from his channel. Good stuff there. All right, so let's go ahead and spin our wheel up. Gonna change my screen over. All right, so I'm going to go from the bottom and start adding names that are green. If you're not green, that means you're not a member and you can't get into the free tools. So uh, as I'm typing, run on over, click the join button, and become a member and re-comment back in. So, and who else we got? FLA, yeah, FALY. All right. So we got 15 people viewing right now. So if you haven't made a comment in the chat, please make a comment in the chat because I cannot see a list of who is viewing. And that's it. All right. So we got 5 participants right now. And here we go. Garage Monkey. All right. Are you still in the chat with us today, sir? Give him a minute to chime in there because there is about a 30-second delay. And we'll show off. So our prize today will be the 4-piece mini pry bar set from Tecton. These are really, really good tools. You're going to get one with a thick shank, one with a skinny shank. So you get a 1/4 inch and a 5/32, multiple angles, 30-degree, 50-degree on both sizes. You get a plastic handle that will resist all these fuels and oils that are in the shop. I've actually tested this myself. I left one of them in some ATF for about a week and it didn't even phase it. So I don't know how good that's doing for landfills. But most importantly, it's an American made product in my home state of Michigan. So we are supporting American tools. And the steel on these things are great. I've had a set of these for a year and the tips still look brand new. A little bit of the black oxide came off, but still a good, nice, sharp tip. Yeah. So Sergio, he won a set a couple weeks ago. All right. We're going to have to spin again. I came out of the Grand Rapids area, Hudson, Adrian, um, Dearborn. Hey, I know he's here. Learning with Juan. There you go. You're gonna get the mini pry bars. Let me go ahead and put up the banner. There it is. Please send me an email with your mailing address, and I will get those sent out to you this weekend. They will come straight to you from Tecton. Tecton has lifetime warranty on their tools, folks. This is not a sponsorship from them. I just want to support an American tool company that is trying to get their product from overseas back to the United States, and they're doing a fantastic job. Um, a lot of my tools that I've had for the last 10 years, they are Tectons. I do love them a lot. I especially love their dead blow hammers. I believe they're partnered with Trusty Cook on their hammers, but you can't beat these prices. 275 shipped for a full dead blow hammer kit. They always display how they're made, their construction, lifetime warranty, and I got to tell you, this big sucker right here, this is an 18-inch long handle, and you can beat some stuff off. It's great for hitting those stuck rotors on those F2 shitties. They just recently did a redesign. Now they have a steel face, so you get a ball peen. Look very much like Snap-on, but these are not Snap-on. Okay. But if you go to the Trusty Cook website, I see a lot of similarities. So I think that they're buying them through them. But guys, you can't beat those prices. To get a full hammer set for 300 bucks shipped, that's every hammer you're going to need in automotive and many, many more. They make it in a 50 ounce, and day that thing is a destroyer. It is a destroyer. All right, so that's my plug for them. Catch up on chat. Yeah, yeah. Michigan. You guys are talking about something. I don't know what you have. Did they? Yeah, it's you know who the person to always find out who makes what is CP. CP, the tool guy. I don't know how he can keep all that information in his head, but tools are his thing, and he can tell you everything about where every tool was made and who farted on it. Had a Tecton socket set when I first started. They were good. Sucks. Oh, bummer, dude. Well, I hope I get enough members that I can start giving out full socket sets. And that is one of the reasons why I pushed the Tecton brand versus the Harbor Freight brand. Because, if you had a full set of sockets and one of your sockets walked off, you drop it somewhere, you leave it in a car, you can go buy an individual socket. You can't do that at Harbor Freight. You're stuck buying a full set. So if you're one of like when you start getting a lot of tools, you kind of get that little voice in the back of your head that says everything has to match. That is like the worst condition you can have as a tool owner is when the tool truck guy says like, "Hey, we sell pliers in blue." And you're like, "Damn it, I like blue. And all my pliers are yellow and green. Trade them all in. I want all blue pliers." That is a horrible thing to have. Yes, Tecton hammers are made in USA, and I have a set, and I love them, the pieces. Okay, let's see what we can get in the next 30 minutes, and we'll pick it up next week, guys. All right, last question. Okay, if those hammers from Tecton were made in America, it seems like Trusty made. Yes, I'm very confident that they have a partnership with them. So Trusty is just putting their name on it. I don't shame them for doing that. I mean, I'm not gonna if I was a manufacturing company and I'm trying to bring my product over from Asia back here to the United States, you're gonna have to make partners. I mean, what's what's cheaper in the long run to get a partnership through a company who already has the factory to make the hammers that you like and then just put your name on it and say you sell American made hammers, or to spend the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to make your own company. I mean, like the turnaround's got to be atrocious on this stuff. Yeah, Mako is trusty, and so is Cornwell. And you will pay a little bit higher. I think my Cornwell dealer, he's very, very fair on his rebrand prices. He has not been marking them up a lot. I think he might have like a small convenience fee for it being immediately available, but he's learned that he makes more money selling in volume than he does trying to sell a one-off, which is a very smart tactic as a tool salesman. That's what he is. He's a tool salesman. So why is he going to hold out for full retail pop when he can just sell the price of the tool, maybe 10% higher what he bought it for? I have a tool truck driver through Snap-on. He's going through a hard transition of that right now, where he's trying to make a hard profit on almost every individual thing. And I think it's hurting his bottom line really bad because he's not available to carry so much inventory on his truck that other trucks of his other Snap-on trucks can. I get on one Snap-on truck at another shop, and there's like you're tripping over tools on the floor. He just has a plethora of tools, and then you get on this guy's, and you're like, dude, like you still have a Ver's Edge and a box on your shelf. Why have you not eBayed this thing? Get rid of it. So don't want to pick on him. Maybe he has a reason for doing it, but you know, when you're running a tool truck, impulse buys are your biggest sales. So you got to keep your stuff uh, readily available. And I'm I'll just say this as my last part is for all your quick consumables like uh, extendable magnets, inspection mirrors, gloves, hand soaps, eyeglasses. I've had to tell him and be like, dude, stop trying to make like a full 100% profit on this stuff. Like, you need to be making just a little bit because those are high consumable items for technicians and mechanics. Like, I lose my magnets all the time. I got a pair of gloves and they last like 4 months and I lose them. I leave them on top of a car and I drive off and they're gone. So, I don't wanna come in here and pay 70, $60 for a set of work gloves that say Snap-on. I was like, "Sell them at list, sell them at cost plus 10, you know? Deal in high volume." But enough said, enough said. I'm not a tool truck guy, I'm just being the peanut gallery. Had one of the Snap-on guys I used to use. You couldn't get to the back of the truck sometimes he had so much stuff. Yeah. That's how my last guy was. I loved him to pieces because dude, it's just like you open the door and stuff falls out. And he was super nice about giving us big heads up when he would go to tool fairs. And he had a Facebook page that you could subscribe to. And at tool fair, he would be like, "Hey, like I'm gonna buy 300 of these ratchets and I'm gonna sell them for this. So if you want one, start saying now, and I'll get it ready for you." And that was usually when they did a redesign on a ratchet, or maybe that ratchet came out in a new color, or maybe it has more clicks in it. For instance, he advertised once. He says, "Hey, they now have uh, the 6-inch quarter-inch ratchet now has a 3/8 anvil, and it's rated up for 40 pounds, and it's 92 clicks." I was like, "Dude, get me that. I want that." Like those go into impossible places. All right, let me get our presentation back up. You guys got me sidetracked. Let's move on and then we can talk a little bit more. What do we got for time? Whoop. Make sure I didn't lose my. Okay, didn't lose my mic. All right, let's see what we get in the next 25 minutes, guys. Okay. Service Diagnostics version 1. Okay. This is the purple screen of death, as some people have called it, but it's not that bad. Once I walk you through this, you guys are gonna love it. So here's a quick little blurb. Uh, this screen is going to be good reference material. Version 1 covers Legacy Outback 2005 to 2009, Forester Impreza WX STI Tribeca, and the Baja '05 to 2011. The Legacy and the Outback has always been Subaru's flagship vehicles. So they're always getting the new information first and they're getting the new service updates first. So that's why there was that little bit of 2 year gap. The Forester and the Impreza really run off the same platform. The WX and the STI all run off the same platform. The Tribeca and the Baja were like these blips in time that never really went anywhere. And I heard some really scary news that Tribeca might make a comeback? Like, what? Like, they're gonna make an Ascent with, like, 3 less feet on it? I don't understand that. It's I don't know. I'm not the marketing team for Subaru, but, I mean, I guess look at Lincoln. They brought back the what did they bring back? The Aviator. They brought back the Aviator, and people went crazy over it. So, who knows? Who knows? All right, okay. So here's our main page right here. It looks very 90s, very old school based, and yes, it is. Okay. So this is our first attempt to create an interactive online catalog. We are currently looking at the home page for our vehicle of choice. I just selected a Outback here. So what we want to do is want to look at the top. Okay, so this top button right here, no matter where you go in this catalog, if you hit that top button, it's going to take you back to the main page. So your first attempt at trying to use this, you're going to get lost. And if you get lost, just hit top. It'll take you back here. You'll be all right. Now we have 4 buttons right here. This is not a wallpaper. These are actual buttons that you can click on: visual contents, wiring diagram, DTC search, and index. Okay. And you'll notice that each one of these bubbles populate to these blurbs here at the top. They're the same damn thing. So if you're somewhere else in the catalog and all of a sudden you want to bounce over to wiring diagram, you can do that. Then you have the drop down box, which will allow you to select specific systems. And I would consider this more of a pro user approach. So if you're already familiar with the system, and I will talk about this more and how to navigate through it, you can actually start digging through each individual thing that you want to do. All right, so let's go into visual contents and see what's going on. So as soon as we go into the visual contents page, they're going to bring up a graphic of a just generic looking car. So if you're looking at an Outback, you notice it's not an Outback. If you're looking at an STI, it's not going to be an STI. It's just going to be a plain Jane Subaru. And Subaru does that with a lot of their manuals. Unless they need to show something specific, there will always be a generic outline of a car. And we get some pretty little pictures here. So this symbol right here is going to be an engine. This is steering. This is our airbag SRS system, our HVAC air conditioning system, cooling system, body and chassis components. This battery right here represents electrical, not just the battery, not charging system, but all electrical components. Then you got transmission, suspension, and braking system. So if you click on the engine button, it's going to populate a list of selectable categories that you can go from. Pretty cool. So if you wanted to go into fuel injection system, there you go. It'll take you straight into another subcategory of fuel injection. Uh, keep aware of what's in the parentheses. Okay. So H4SO. That is an H4 engine, a flat engine with 4 cylinders, single overhead cam. H4DOTC, 4-cylinder engine in an H configuration, dual overhead turbocharger. H6DO, 6-cylinder, 6-cylinder engine with the piston configuration in an H. So everything's a boxer engine, guys. So boxer engine, 6-cylinder, dual overhead cam. So when you want to go into the and the reason why there's all these different options is because this Outback has three different engine setups that it can have. It can have a four-cylinder single overhead cam. We call that the grocery getter. You got your turbo engine. So you got a turbocharged four-cylinder engine with dual overhead cam, and then you got the badass EC30 six-cylinder dual overhead cam engine. So when you want to look at something for the cooling system, make sure you're picking the appropriate engine classification, or you're going to diagnose the car wrong, or you're not going to find what you're looking for. In steering, power assisted steering, it's very simple. They're going to show you a power steering pump, the power steering rack, and so on and so forth. Okay, we got this seatbelt and airbag system. So there's our different subcategories that you can go into. Air conditioning, HVAC, and you got your auto AC if the system does have it available. So make sure you're selecting the correct type of AC system that you want to diagnose. Does it have manual control AC or does it have auto control AC? If it has auto control, it's going to have a button that says auto on it. Okay, body, that's for your glass, body structures, seats, security systems, sunroof, so on and so forth. Oh yeah, trim. If you are a body technician, okay, if you work in a body shop, there is a separate manual. I didn't even think about adding that. But yeah, you would not find any of your body shop stuff in here. That is a separate document. So I'll update this. Electrical, lighting systems, entertainment, communication, tires, so on and so forth, cruise control, LAN system diagnostics, and wiring systems. Those are your schematics. Okay. So if you want a wiring diagram, that's where you can go. Transmission. Okay. Again, we got some information in parentheses. You have a 4-speed automatic. We have a 5-speed automatic. Okay. 6-speed manual, 5-speed manual transmission. Be aware of the categories that you're going into. Okay. Clutch differentials, transfer case, and drive system. Front and rear suspension, wheel and tire system, brakes. This is where you're going to find your ABS with diagnostics. And not all these vehicles do come with a VDC system in them. If you go way back into the Subaru timeline, not all of them had VDC support. All right, so now we're in the. Did I? Oh, I programmed that incorrectly. All right, so we're back at the homepage now. We're going to go into the wiring diagram, see what's in there. So when you click on that, you're going to get an index of wiring diagrams. It immediately starts out on the letter A, and you can choose which category you want by just clicking on the letter that you need. Notice right here that I left this intentionally, but you can't see the T. You're going to have to really carefully hover your mouse over this line until the icon changes, and then you can move it over. This is just a programming of the browser and the website. So you can still kind of click on the T, but get used to that. That's going to be a problem with these interactive catalogs on the Subaru side. Same thing like here, like these buttons are overlapping. It's just a browser compatibility issue, and they're not really doing a lot of updates and support on this old architecture anymore. All right, so there's your letters. Click on B. Hey, look, you get B. And now we got the backup light system, wiring diagram with inspection, bulkhead wiring. So shop around the different letters for what you're looking for. So basically, if you were looking for a wiring system for your reverse light, there obviously it's not going to be under R because Subaru uses the phrase backup. Yeah, I got to fix that. All right, so I clicked on S, and yeah, kind of just making more examples there. All right, so now that you've picked a wiring diagram that you want to go into, I'm showing the seatbelt warning system just for example. Notice how low resolution this is. And that is because this You got, as I stated before, this whole website is a GUI, a graphic user interface for a 6,000 page PDF document. That document is hundreds of megabytes. So they made this interactive program to search it better. And what you're getting here is a thumbnail, a very low resolution view. You can't even see some of these letters. You don't know what these numbers are. So what you have to do is you have to click on that PDF icon. Uh, Also point out that here at this top header field right here has updated to show you where you are at in the service manual. So we're under body and electrical. This is our file path structure. Again, showing you your final destination. All really good because when you become a power user, it can help you kind of navigate these files a little bit better. And you don't have to use, I call it the wizard. If you were a Windows 95 guy, you would know what that means, but you don't have to use the wizard anymore. All right, so you open up your PDF, you're going to print it, and you'll get a nice little full pop. I got a lot of chat in here. Let's see what chat says. I have personally used tools. Harbor Freight has been pretty good. Oh, okay. We're still talking about tools. I like to say the engineers hate technicians with how stuff is arranged in engine base. That is an ongoing discussion. Yes. All right. Thank you so much for sending me that email. Okay, let's look at a larger wiring diagram. Let's go into the E category. Engine wiring harness is about the biggest one. So immediately, we're going to reiterate the fact that this vehicle has multiple types of engines in it. It's got a non-turbo, a turbo, and a six-cylinder engine. So look at the heading, okay, of what engine you're working on. There's going to be extra electrical components that you're going to need to reference, and not all these color wires are going to be the same. So now it's updated to a turbo because I scrolled down about 10 pages. When you're looking at the documents, they will always have a little header right here on the sides that can help you identify where you're at. So you're in a four-cylinder engine, you're on page one. EG stands for engine. So here's the disadvantage of a multi-page um, when missing a slide here. Okay, so here's the disadvantage. This is a 10-page engine wiring diagram. And let's say you want to print out all 10 pages, or you want to view all 10 pages. All right, you want to view all 10 pages. Well, you're going to have to click that PDF icon on each individual page. That kind of sucks. And so you're going to get multiple pop-up windows. Now, keep in mind that your browser might have a different setting for when you click on that PDF icon. On some browsers, it'll open up a new tab, and on other ones, it's just going to open up a separate window on top of your regular one. So you might have to change some of your browser settings on what you want to do. So if you want to print a 10-page engine wiring diagram, well, you're going to have to click on that PDF 10 times, as I said. And why does this happen? It's okay. Yeah. So I was talking about the tabs. You're getting different pages opening up. So is there a workaround for that? Yes. Okay. If you don't want to do all that clicking, this is where I'm going to show you how to go and get the actual source information. If you want to see that 6,000 page manual, we're going to go back out to the main page. We're going to click on service manual, plug in the car you want to go into, or plug in the VIN, and then it'll auto update for you. Hit the search. There it is. And Legacy Outback Service Manual. Click on the download, and now you got your document. Now, this document has multiple sections in it. Just this one document is 500 megabytes. And on my high speed internet, my fiber connection, it still took about 10 minutes to download at 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you're on a mobile Wi Fi connection, like doing mobile diagnostics, this isn't going to download very pretty. It's going to take a very long time. And if you're using the local Wi Fi at your garage, it probably sucks and it's going to probably take a lot longer to download. So be patient, plan ahead. And that's why we have the interactive catalog so that way you can view things faster. This is a last resort. So right out the gate, I want to talk is you got this one heading right here. It says quick reference index. Uh, let me not get ahead of myself. Okay, I got to follow my notes. Okay. All right. So first off, here's a warning. When you open this up, it's going to open it up. It's going to download this document into a temporary internet folder. All right. This is just computer geek talk right now. This isn't car talk. When you click the PDF to download this 500 page program, it's going to open it up in an internet browser and it's going to store that 500 meg file into a temporary folder. And as soon as you click close window, it's going to delete that file. So it's like RAM. It's not ROM. It's in your random access memory. It's not in your um, permanent memory on your vehicle. You're going to still have to go to the download button on that populated window to download it to your desktop so you can save it. So I'm highlighting this portion right here because all these black tabs, these are actual buttons. So this is a program PDF file that is interactive. Okay. But you'll notice that, hey, that's got some funny business on there and that doesn't reference anything I need. Where are my wiring diagrams? I came here for wiring diagrams. All right. Well, wiring diagrams was, I'm sorry, if we scroll all the way down, we get into a whole another quick reference index on page 127. So why didn't they put a another table of contents on top of this table of contents? Well, it's because this 6,000 page document is about 20 different sub publications put together. They just forgot to put another thing on the top. I don't know. I didn't make it, but I'm telling you how to navigate it. So what do you want to do? You're going to hit Control F, and you want to look for. You want to type in quick reference index. Type in that, and you're going to get about 9 results, and then you can scroll those results really quickly. And now you're going to find wiring systems. Hooray! Be aware that if you misspell anything, it's not going to find anything. So we find wiring systems on page 4,873. Ta-da! Control F is your friend when you're in this document. Then we can scroll down and now we can see the different subclasses of wiring systems. Okay. The other thing I want to point out too is each one of these index systems, these these uh these little subcategories that I gotta find a name for them. Let's call them chapters. Each one of these chapters in this giant PDF document starts its own numbering system all over again. All right. So while you might be on page 400 or 4,875, because that's what your PDF document viewer is showing you, you're actually on wiring system page 1. So your page at the bottom will be labeled WI 1. So let's go into our electrical, and now we can start getting some better high res photos. And that's what we like. We want to print them out. And if you're going to print them out, you're going to have to go into the custom tabs of your printer and you're going to have to enter in the PDF document pages. Okay. So, whatever PDF document reader you're using, enter those pages in. This preview screen may or may not update. It might take a long time to update because it's actually trying to process that entire 6,000 page right here. Make sure that you click custom pages. Don't get click happy, because if you get click happy and you start printing, or if you just try and do control P and you hit enter, you're going to crash your home network, or you're going to crash your shop's network, or your computer's just going to lock up, uh, because that 500 megabyte document, it's going to eat up all the buffer. And uh, you're going to have to very quickly cancel the print job. I would say the best thing you can do is just go unplug your printer and then go to your computer desktop and try and cancel the print job. Be very, very patient, because this large document is just destroying your computer's virtual memory. It is eating up all your RAM. I mean, you could have gigs of RAM in your computer, but I'm still telling you, this huge document, your processor will just like all of a sudden go from idling 30% to maxed out 99%. It's hilarious. And at least every new, back when we were working with this old system, about once a year, somebody would print this entire thing accidentally. And if the print job doesn't get canceled, the printer will just use up all the paper and then scream, "Hey, there's no paper." It'll go beep, 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 beep. And then whoever's by the printer will go like, "This thing's beeping at me. There's no paper." They'll put paper in it, and then it'll just keep printing and printing and printing and printing. It's hilarious. And then that person gets a paper bill. We're in time. We got 10 minutes left. Are we gonna be able to get through DTC? Nah, we're gonna start up fresh next week. We'll go right into DTCs. I was hoping, like, how many more do we have? Yeah, we'll kill it. We'll kill it off. We're very close to the end. Okay. All right. So we're back on DTCs. We're gonna hit DTC. Get into it. All right. So this is gonna bring up another interface here. You can click your mouse cursor in here and you can enter in the DTC that you have, but make sure that you have your all caps on. Sometimes typing things in here, you can get an error when you hit OK and it won't give you the results. And I've just forced myself to click these individual buttons to hand jam in that code. So we're going to put in a P2098 and we get two results right here. There's our DTC. And we have two different types of reading this. All right. It says you got detecting criteria, and diagnostic procedure with diagnostic trouble code. So, which one do we want to use? Well, we should always read our detecting criteria first to find out what parameters is that computer looking at in order to generate this code. So we want to find out if the computer got fed some bad information, it can generate a code. Or maybe we have a failing sensor. Good information to know. Then we can go through with our trouble tree and follow it, because our trouble tree is written as if we already read the detecting criteria. Also, pay attention to the engine classification. Again, these little link symbols here, those are your hyperlinks to go to the next page. Again, pay attention to your internet browser, because a lot of our internet browsers now have pop-up blockers on them. So if your pop-up blocker is active, pay attention to the warning mark that might be at the very top of the window, letting you know that you have pop-ups, and you'll have to click on that and say, allow pop-ups from this website. All right, so let's plug in a P0420, my favorite code. And now we have three different engine setups. Okay, we got our single overhead cam, our turbocharger, and our six cylinder. We're also getting a detecting criteria and a diagnostic procedure with trouble code for each engine classification. Very cool. But why didn't we get six engines back here on this one? Well, that's because there was no code programmed into the ECM. All right. The other two classifications of engines that are in this vehicle, the four cylinder and the four cylinder turbo, they don't have post catalyst fuel trim system to lean codes. And that's a common mistake. A lot of people think that codes carry over to every single vehicle, and it's not necessary. Um, a couple of months ago, I think, yeah, maybe a couple of months ago, had a customer who came in with a 2011 Legacy, and he was getting a cam position sensor code. So he had his little reader, and he says, "I got this code. I need this sensor installed." And I said, "Well, that's a $400 sensor, and it's going to cost you $400 for me to put it in because it's behind the timing chain cover. I got to take a lot of things apart. Are you sure that's what you want to put in? Would you like me to diagnose this for you first?" He hemmed and hawed, and then we kind of told him, we says, "Hey, if we put the part in that you want us to put in and it doesn't fix it, we're not liable. You still owe us money." And right before he signed that statement of understanding of he's liable, he finally bit his lip and went, "Okay, why don't you guys go ahead and diagnose it?" So I diagnosed it, and I came back and I told him, I says, "You need a timing belt tensioner." He's like, "That doesn't make sense. I got a timing belt last year." I says, "Well, let me see your receipt." So he calls the shop where he got it installed, and thankfully they did keep work orders on record because some of these other shops, they don't keep an archive system very well. So they had the archive system, and I saw the parts build out, and I says, "Bro, sorry, man. They just put a belt on. They didn't put a tensioner on." I was like, "When we do belts in my shop, we do belts, pulleys, tensioners, and a water pump. You get the whole thing or nothing. We don't do this one shot stuff." So I says, "That's why he advertised his work cheaper than everybody else." I was like, "To do a timing belt on this engine with all those extra parts, that comes up to like $2,200. He sold you a belt with 3 hours of labor, and he got your bill down to $500. And a year later, this is what you're stuck with. You got to go back in now." So that's why we throw everything up front, because we don't want to go back in. We don't want you coming back a year later and telling you, "Hey, we got to go back into the car that we were just in there a year ago." So how is this causing the problem? He's still confused, and he's now rubbing it in my face. He's a 30-year technician with Dodge. He doesn't understand this. All right, well, so mechanic to mechanic, I told him, says, "Hey, buddy, um, first off is said this car, even though it has two camshafts, it only has one camshaft sensor, which means that that signal that it's reading from this camshaft, the ECM is averaging it to the other one. And when this belt drifts out of position because your tensioner can't hold it taut, the signal, the camshaft signal deviates away from the crankshaft signal, and it only knows how to throw one code, a camshaft position sensor code." I says, "It can't throw a cam crank correlation code because there isn't a second cam sensor. If the car had a second cam sensor on the other bank, then they could have programmed in a cam crank correlation code, and then you would have been like, hey, it needs something's wrong with the timing belt." But that's where it was at. He didn't like it, but he ended up taking it back to the other shop, and he made him put in a tensioner. He caused him a whole bunch of headache, but that was the solution. I had the oscilloscope showing him. I'm like, "Dude, your cam and crank signal are off by like 7 milliseconds. That's bad." So yeah. In summary, not every car has the same code. All right, we're gonna click on that link, and we're gonna go here. We're into the detecting criteria, and you're going to get some blurbage. You get a little pretty picture. Can't really see that picture too well. Always pay attention to what your system is updating under. All right, so now we're in the control system, and we're in the general description. It says right here an H4 single overhead cam engine. Pay attention. So I went back into the PDF document and I did a cut and paste here so that way we could see that graphic, and you can see the level of detail between those two. So yeah, so a lot of times I like to go back. to get those graphics because those graphics are just thumbnails and they suck. All right, our last section here, the index. The index is very valuable. Looks very familiar to that wiring harness one, doesn't it? Okay. You got the same letters over here, and you get a new button. All that button does is just take you back to the top. So some of these sections you can scroll down pretty far. You can click back the top. It'll take you all the way back up to the top. Yay. Uh, there is a T hiding behind there because I told you that this interface does cover over these two letters. Always just you just got to get used to Subaru verbiage. So if you're not finding what you're looking for, then clicking on the letter section that you want and then using the power of control F and searching through all these titles will help you out very much. Okay. There's our J and there's our T. You can't see them, they're cut off. We're doing yeah, we're going to explore into thermostat removal. And so we're looking at our thermostat removal and something doesn't look right. We don't see these components on our vehicle. Something doesn't match up. What's going on? Well, pay attention to your subfolders where you're at. Hey, we've been looking at a single overhead cam engine the entire time. Oops, we're in a turbo now. Our bad. You're in a turbo. So we got to go back and we should have clicked on single overhead cam. Okay, lastly, let's get into this drop down box. There is some fantastic information in here. If you are flipping cars for a living, you're going to love this section. So let's go into the general tab. All right, so we're going to get some categories that were not mentioned in the big four on the main screen. Okay, we got a forward, how to use this manual. So if you forget this class, you can go into there and you get some tips and tricks. Specifications, costumes, notes, identifications, so far. You can read it yourself. All right, moving along. Let's see what's going on with the forward. Hey, forwards are always boring. They never have anything, and I always skip them when I read a book. So yeah, nothing important there. How to use this manual. Okay, so you should explore that part on your own because there is some stuff that is important to different categories of mechanic and technician that you are. But this is the one that really stands out the most. It goes over the symbols that they like to use in their diagram. So, whoa, you weren't supposed to do that. How to use this manual. And there it goes. So, yeah. So, this symbol is representing a gasket maker point. This symbol is a lubrication point during assembly. And this one says you should lube it with grease, not oil. And then all the T's represent torque values. When you're looking at this graphic too, on the bottom that you can't see, it's actually going to have the torque specs right there. So we'll get into that. I'll mention that. I'll have to add a slide for that. But basically, you can bring up a photo and you can be like, I just want to know what this one bolt is torqued to. There you go. Now you know the torque spec. And if it has a torque sequence like these head bolts, it's just going to straight up tell you, hey, that's a torque sequence. You need to go to this category. Specifications. All right, so you're going to get two folders right here because this is a shared manual between the Legacy and Outback. You have your different categories of specifications. Let's go ahead and bring up just the engine right there. That's where you're going to find your firing order. Pretty cool information. Some max output power of your engine. Oh, is there something else in there? Nope, nothing else I want to talk about. The caution area, well, it might seem simple of things not to do. There's actually some pretty interesting subnotes in there. All right. One, it explains what NG and OK mean, no go and OK. You'd be surprised how many people read manuals and they come over and they'd be like, "Hey Joe, what do they mean by NG?" Like, stands for no go. It also gives you warnings of when you're putting hoses over barbs, how to seal them correctly, and where to put the clamp correctly. Very, very important information to know. Let's go into our notes. So I picked out a couple of choice graphics here out of the notes. One is you can put the hood prop in a different position so it lays more parallel and flush with the fender, and it's not cutting you in the face when you're trying to lean over this side of the engine bay. That's pretty cool. This graphic over here is talking about how you can move a fuse over and you can move the vehicle out of all wheel drive and put it in front wheel drive mode if you're trying to diagnose the drivetrain. Identification. Okay, identification. Again, if you're buying cars at auction, or maybe you're buying a used car and you want to know, like, did somebody like grave rob and stab Frankenstein this car together? Hey, there's all your VIN locations. Okay, so you can check and see if you got a different part of a chassis of another car on your car. It happens. It happens. All right. If you want to know what type of engine is in there, you want to make sure it's the right engine. This is where you're going to find the identification marks for the engine. Point number two is showing what type of engine. Point number one is the serial number for the engine. Same thing here in the transmission. Serial number of the transmission, type of transmission. This is also very important information if you're trying to buy a used engine or a used transmission for your vehicle. Okay, because a brand new one can cost five, six, seven, five, six, $7,000. Okay, but maybe you want to get one used. Well, these places that sell them used, they're not always trustworthy of classifying their equipment correctly. A lot of mistakes get made, especially when the production of a vehicle gets really close to changeover. Ford had this problem a lot with people buying used engines for the Fords, and the Fords transitioned from regular engines to flex fuel engines. So you got a flex fuel vehicle and you're buying an engine. You're like, hey, I need a 2012 Ford Taurus engine. You just type that in. The guy says, yeah, I got a whole bunch of Ford Taurus engines here from 2012. Is it a six cylinder? Yeah, it's a six cylinder. Okay, I want one. And then you put it in, you got all kinds of drivability issues. Why? Well, because you put a flex fuel engine in a non fuel flex fuel engine car and the computers don't know what the hell's going on, or vice versa. You'll get some performance issues. Sure, it starts up, but you'll get performance issues. So if you're in the car flipping industry, or maybe you're just buying a really old Subaru because of nostalgia or a collector, this be some good GWIZ information to know to make sure that you got the right equipment installed in there. What are we on now? Recommended materials. This is a fun category. Okay. Uh, Again, you might think you know everything of what should be used, but if you're assembling something and you want to know what specific type of gasket maker, there it is. They use 3 bond 1217 Gulf for all these engine components. Okay. They use the same 3 bond for the transmission assemblies. There's an item numbers, and here's some alternative options, and they have different categories for different things. So they have an oil category, a lubricant category, a gasket maker, an adhesive category, so on and so forth. Explore the whole thing for yourselves. Free delivery. Oh, wow. We don't want to mess with this. This is only for the dealership. Hell no. Hell no. Again, you're let's say you're in the market for buying a used Subaru. This is very valuable information, okay? Because the pre-delivery inspection, this is a step by step by step inspection to make sure that that car what has all the right fluids in it, to make sure that every bell and whistle is working correctly. So right here you can see engine oil level. We're looking at the differential fluid, and I'm just only grabbing a few pieces of it. There's like 90 There's 90 steps in this thing. Okay, identification of brake fluid. Hey, how about this? How to make sure that all the airbag systems work with a simple procedure of just sitting in the seat and then making sure that these indicator lights come on and come off. So, you say if you're car shopping or maybe you find a barn find, this is a really really good way to maybe talk down the owner and say, "Hey, I looked at it and you got a couple of problems here that you didn't know about. Let's take $1,000 off." All right, lastly, periodic maintenance services. Well, shucks, Joe, again, he's like, "You think you know everything, but this is a great express. This is probably the most used category ever. Every serviceable thing is categorized right there. You can click on it and it's going to take you right to the step that you need to go." Okay. Everything from spark plugs to the serpentine belt to a timing belt, so on and so forth. It's good. The procedure's right there. So if you're a service technician, this will be one of your most used categories when you're trying to upsell something. Or maybe, just maybe, you don't know what services should be recommended for that car. Well, you can skim this really quick and go, oh wow, yeah. Hey, there's a timing belt in here. It's not a timing chain. I should recommend that because the car is 10 years old and has 150,000 miles. I should sell a belt. And we're done tonight. All right. You guys made it. Fantastic. We got 6 of you who made it all the way. Fantastic. Thank you for staying. We're going to check up on chat and see how it's going. Okay, we already talked there. Last time I used one of the passenger compartments of the fuse box. I am randomly having fuses get jarred loose, which is annoying. The 3 that keep getting knocked loose are the gauge. Didn't follow that too well. Right hand low beam and circuit breaker for the. Okay, you guys are having a conversation I didn't follow. Yep. All right. Yeah. I'll stay out of that conversation. That's a private conversation you guys are having. Yep. You made it. Thank you, everyone, for staying. I'll hang out for a few more minutes to see if anybody is still typing away a comment. If you're watching this on the rerun, you can still leave a comment on the YouTube channel. I will reply. If you are a member of the channel, then I reply to comments faster because your comments actually get put into a separate box. So right now I have like 5,000 trolls that are like blocking all my feed. But obviously, if you're a paid member, then you go into a membership comment category and I can respond to you more appropriately and faster. And you guys will always get the information that you need. If you want to contact me through email, please feel free. You can email me. If you're having problems with your vehicle, please give me a VIN number. Okay, give me a VIN, give me a mileage. And man, if you got a scanner, give me a screenshot of your scanner, what codes you got. I got a couple of people. Those be like, hey, I got an Outback. It's 5 years old and it's driving rough. Dude, that doesn't mean crap to me. Like, help me out here. Well, let's keep that up there. Glad I could help out, Mr. Crick Winch. Yeah, no, I feed the trolls, man. You know, they're comment generators and they get my feeds up. So if I make them angry, I really don't care. Uh, no, it's just part of the business. Don't let it get under your skin. Some of them say some pretty hateful things. I think at least in every video I've made, I've been called a hack, a cheat, a liar, a crook. Like, people are just posting stuff for the sheer sake of posting it because I'm not sitting next to them and can't punch them in the face. That's pretty much it. And it's like they're hiding on the others. They're just keyboard warriors, keyboard mechanics. They read about it somewhere and their daddy taught them something. So that must be right. I'll leave that as it is. Thanks, everyone. Salute you for staying this long. I kept you up for 2 hours. It's got to be almost. Well, it's 11:30 there on the East Coast, guys. Maybe later if you're over in New York. So here's my sign off. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate your patronage and your support and helping out with the channel. Uh, yes, these are actually prescription too. I got them custom made by Lens Crafter. Uh, but yes, thank you, everyone. And Juan, I will getting your tools sent out today. Felicia, I'll get your tools sent out um, as soon as possible. Thank you very much.